Let's discuss the 11 books I read in June because I forgot to talk about this. Also, this is a microphone. It's not a dildo. I've been getting a concerning influx of people asking if I'm speaking next to or into a dildo for these past, month or two. All microphones look the same and have the same shape. This one's just pink. Anyways, June was a really weird reading month. I read a lot of weird books back to back because I was kind of entering a reading slump, so I was trying to counteract it by reading a bunch of really fun, silly, ridiculous novellas. And it did help. I did get out of it towards the end of the month. But it took a lot of experiences to get there. I started off with a full-length novel, Late Night Love, which was advertised as Michael Che Colin Jost fan fiction, which it isn't. Even the author made a clarifying video at some point that I saw where she was like, okay, it's not actually Colin Jost Michael Che, I just said that as a joke. However, this is SNL fan fiction, and also I hated this. I did not have a pleasant experience with this. I think it's a really overall generic rom-com. I was kind of bleh about it, but I think what gets me to have more of a stronger negative reaction to it is that this is a whole book about comedians and comedy writers on the hit late night show Live from New York. And the main characters are both comedy writers on the Weekend Update segment, and I didn't laugh. The jokes aren't funny. It's a book about comedy and comedians and comedy writers, and they're not funny. And I was sitting there wondering if I had to actually pretend that these jokes were funny in order to get a better experience out of it, in the way that this One Direction fan fiction, there was this One Direction fan fiction that was I was adopted by One Direction. I promise this has a point. At one point she gets kidnapped. There's a point where her kidnapping hostage situation is being live streamed while the members of One Direction are trying to figure out how to save her. And she is so devastated and emotional and heartbroken and terrified in this moment that she starts to sing whatever comes to her heart. And it's at this point in the fan fiction that the author is author's note, I know the following song is a Demi Lovato song, but just pretend the main character just came up with it on the spot like it's an original song. And then the girl sings Skyscraper by Demi Lovato. So they felt like they were supposed to be funny in the way that Skyscraper was supposed to be an original song. Then I read all three books of the, whatchamacallit, is it the Yarn and Monsters series? This series about these four women who try and perform a love spell, and they accidentally make a deal with the devil where if they don't find their soulmate within a year's time, their soul goes down to the devil. And so the devil sends them all demons, but the women have to provide vessels for the demons to go into, and then those demons are supposed to help them on their path to find their soulmate. But then it turns out that all these demons are these women's soulmates, but the vessels that the women have chosen are crocheted plushies that the character in book one created because she's a crochet fiber artist. Honestly, these romances are kind of cute and really funny rom-coms. I think the teddy bear one is the best out of the three that I've read so far. I don't know if the fourth one has been released yet. I think it has. I also read the two books of the Kyleverse books. Book one in the Kyleverse is about a sentient rake. Book two in the Kyleverse is about a gigantic Furby that genuinely scared the shit out of me. Why is it called the Kyleverse? Because although he's not the main character, there is a significant side character named Kyle who plays a major role in both of the books. And honestly, Kyle is the only character whose name I can remember. It's the Kyleverse. My biggest issue with the Rake one was that it was insta-love to an absurd degree. And then book two, the Furby one, where for legal reasons they're not Furbies, they're Furbos. And this one genuinely, I think that this is a horror novel. It has to be one of the most disturbing things I've ever read in my life. It shook me to my core. I got goosebumps out of pure fear. Chills went down my spine. Oh my god. I also read I read Stiff, which is about the sentient adult toy from hundreds and hundreds of years ago, which I did really enjoy. This was a fun time. There was a genuinely sweet and delightful, funny, lighthearted romance. This is a rom-com. This one was not bad at all. I also read a gay sentient lamp romance, Light Me Up, and this one I was honestly just sort of in awe of. Oh my god, I also read Bagged by the Groceries, which is one that I still am trying to wrap my head around. It's about this really bitchy housewife. She pisses off this one lady who puts a curse on her, and then when she's done grocery shopping and she goes back to her home, all of the groceries start forming a being, and it's like a fertility god, and he's really aggressive, and she likes it. And then at this point, I kind of got out of my slump, and I read Gideon the Ninth, which was honestly life changing. Like, brain entirely rewired. This was everything. I really wasn't sure if it was going to be a 5-star read for the first 100 pages, because although I was super invested and I loved Gideon, I was so confused so often. I still need to pick up Harrow. Yes, I understand. I heard everyone loud and clear. I know. Harrow is going to be more confusing, and it's all going to come together at some point, and I just need to stick through it. I know, I know, I know, I know. I love you guys so much. Please stop repeating the same thing over and over again to me. Love you. And then I ended my month on a really, really good read, Against Techno-Ableism, which was honestly also a really short read. Like, I think the audiobook for this was only 4 hours, and this was super interesting. Like, this was a really engaging nonfiction work exploring ableism and the language surrounding ableism. It also explores how ableism is incorporated in how the general public views technology made for disability, how disability needs to be considered in other forms of technology, and further pushing the understanding that when we think of a better future is not one where 0 disabled people exist. And going in depth on what that means from the perspective of a disabled person that pulls from the other perspectives of other disabled people. And this was super good. I highly recommend this. And honestly, I think that was a really great place to end the month. A really weird month.